Welcome to Groundwork, a podcast from McLanahan Corporation to talk about key material processing topics. From agriculture to mining to material recycling, we'll discuss the best ways to process the raw materials that power the world. Because if it's not grown, it's mined. Hi, my name is Megan Reiner, and I am part of the marketing team that produces McLanahan's biweekly podcast. Today, we have a very special podcast to celebrate McLanahan's 190th anniversary this year. I'm joined by President and CEO Sean McLanahan, who represents the sixth generation of family leadership, and Chairman of the Board Mike McLanahan, who represents the fifth generation.
Good morning. I'm Mike McLanahan. Been here 63 years now and enjoying every minute of it.
Hey, hello, Sean McLanahan. I'm currently President, CEO. I represent the sixth generation of the family to be involved in the business, and I've been with the company a little over 30 years at the moment.
190 years is a phenomenal accomplishment. Sean, what's the secret to staying in business for 190 years?
I'm not sure I have a secret to it. And certainly the 30 years of the 190 that I've been around, we're focused on what we can do within that time frame. I think the past generations had different struggles than we had in terms of the markets, in terms of the economies, different dynamics. Certainly computers today are far different than they were 100 years ago. So how they ran a business and the way they did things, I think the secret sauce really is just the way we try to work and conduct business, the way we treat our customers, the way we treat our employees. I think those are probably fundamentals that have been passed down through generations, and why we have been so successful over the years is just the way we have conducted business more than anything.
Yeah, I would agree with what Sean has said. It's not a secret. What we have are dedicated employees who are hardworking, and they commit their whole business careers or working careers to us in ways that can't be duplicated at any other way. We have been blessed with really good employees throughout the years.
A few of us were talking the other day about how many global events the company has been through in its 190 years, but McLanahan itself has a rich history as well. Can you share with us a bit of the history of McLanahan?
From a historical standpoint, starting in 1835, the original founder, James Craig McLanahan, purchased the majority ownership share of an existing foundry in 1835. And really, we ran as a foundry for many, many years, producing implements for local farmers and different things in the area. In the late 1890s, our ancestors owned phosphate mines in Florida, and they needed equipment for their own use to process the phosphate. They were dealing with a tough clay material at the time. At that time, Samuel Calvin McLanahan invented the log washer, and he patented it in the late 1800s. It was a machine that was designed to as a large box with tree logs, and thus got the name log washer, that they affixed cast iron paddles to them, had it on an incline, and it would rotate the shafts to clean the material from one end to the next and discharge out. And it worked so well that he ended up patenting the machine, but he had trouble dealing with large, oversized material. So he invented the single roll crusher. Double roll crushers have been around for quite some time at that point, but the single roll crusher was new, and it would be able to deal with the sticky clay and the large material to reduce it so that it wouldn't damage the log washer. And during that time, they would travel back and forth from Florida to Pennsylvania, and it was a long trip in those days, as you can imagine. They would stop at all their mining friends along the way, and they quickly realized that all their mining friends needed equipment as well. So from those two pieces of equipment today, which we still make, are standard in the industry, they started getting into the manufacture of equipment. Now, in those days, you really didn't make equipment unless you had access to a foundry. And being that we had our own foundry gave us the resource. There was no Home Depot back then or Fastenal where you could just go and get supplies and materials. You had to make it all yourself. And in those days, almost everything was cast material. So along the way, they kept building equipment for their friends. And really that transitioned the company around 1900 into a manufacturer of equipment for the mining industry. We still operate the foundry today. We believe we're the oldest family-owned foundry still operating in the United States. We're not don't have a definitive way to prove that, but we believe we are. And we traditionally are around the 50th oldest family-owned business operating in the United States. And we're really proud of that legacy and history. And it was through my dad's innovations and really his discipline of trying to grow the company when he was president, CEO, starting to do acquisitions. So we started to do those in the late 1990s. And we started adding more and more and more through the years. I came on board. I started doing more of, I was in sales for 10 years, transitioned out of sales into management, started helping to do a lot of the acquisitions and integrations. And that continued my career forward as we started adding more and more. And then in the last 15 to 20 years, we've started to really emphasize growing globally. My dad was instrumental in developing an office in Australia. We have since added facilities and offices in the UK, in Santiago, Chile, Italy. So we've continued to grow, and we're really to a point we've got to go where the materials are, and that's the focus on the local aspect. So the company's rich history goes back obviously a long way, and to your point earlier, how we run a business today really doesn't have anything to do with how it looked back then. In terms of technology and things we do. But the equipment, interestingly enough, is from 1900 to today is still processing mineral. It's processing material. And we may do it different with, how we do it with bearings and shafts and materials, but it's really processing material.
You mentioned Samuel Calvin inventing the single roll crusher, which is over 130 years ago, and we still make and sell that product today. Can you talk a little bit about how our products have changed over time and just the need? I mean, the need still exists for these products.
Yeah, like I tell people, we're not in a fad industry. We're not in something that's coming in and out of style, because the equipment that we make processes materials that are used in our everyday lives, our standard of living, our quality of life, and that's around the world. I mean, everybody needs minerals to live. So it's not a business that's going to go out of style or out of fad. How you process the materials certainly changes over time, and different inventions along the way and different ways of thinking about processing materials. Some of it has to do with deposits that, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, deposits were very rich. They were clean. They were easy to get to. Today, there's a lot of overburden. They have to clean out. They have the dirtier materials they're trying to process. So how we process the materials have changed. But in the equipment itself, really the style, the designs, the things like that have evolved because of newer technologies of materials, bearings, shafting materials, steels, wear materials, urethanes have come along, rubber materials. So there's different applications that we use today that they didn't have access to 100 years ago. But processing material is processing material. You still have to deal with the water. You have to deal with the slurries, and you still have to deal with how you're processing, whether you're screening it or crushing it. Those types of things holistically haven't changed, but certainly the equipment itself has.
One of the real motivating factors there is sending our engineers out into the field to work on the equipment, making sure that it's maintainable, easy to work on, safe to work on. And those engineers bring those stories back from our customers and incorporate them into the changes in our design. So we've always had the motivation that what we have now may not be what we need in the future or what our customers need. So change is readily accepted and really motivates what we do.
So, Mike, what do you think is the biggest change that you've seen since you started with the company?
Well, the biggest change is in the use of high-tech computers, not only in how we design and build our machines, but how we actually operate them in the field. There's a lot more technical details in sand processing, for example, with a computer-operated sand tank that was all mechanical in the past. Now it's much more of a computer operation, which fits the needs of our customers who need more precise gradation of their sand product for stronger concrete roads and buildings.
Sean, how about you? What do you think is the biggest change you've seen in the past 30 some years?
Yeah, I would agree. It's technology. Certainly the integration of technology into building the equipment, how we process orders around here or any one of our sites. But then the equipment in the field, we have equipment operating in very remote sites that we can access from a desktop here. One of our engineers can, or a process engineer that can go in and diagnose problems and issues on site. That could never have happened. Obviously, 50 years ago, you'd have to send people to site. Now we can do a lot of troubleshooting from desktops to understand what the problem is. Maybe they can fix it on site. Maybe they can't. But certainly technology is certainly the big thing that's made the difference in the last 25 years.
So you were talking about a lot of the key moments in the company's history, from inventing new products and growing into new industries to global growth and new acquisitions of brands. What, Sean, are you most proud of in the company's history?
I think the people. From such a long history of being with the company, you look back at the legacy of the people that have been here and the contributions they've made, not just to our company, but I tell a lot of our retirees that someone may have been a welder or a machinist or a salesperson, whatever operation they were doing here. The reality is they should brag about that to anyone they talk to, that they were way more than just the position they had here as a welder, machinist, or salesperson. They really were about building machines that impacted the quality of life of people around the world, and our standard of living around the world. So those machines that are used every day in the world to process the materials that we use to better our lives, that's really what this company's about. And I think that's something to take home and be very proud of beyond the individual task that they were in charge of here. There's a lot of pride in that. And we've been doing that obviously for a long, long time. And so that's where I draw a lot of pride from, is the company's ability to impact the global world in bettering lives around the world.
I worked with a man named Claude Trigger with a sand operation in Australia, and he needed a special sized sand to provide the grout for the opera house. Anytime I see pictures of the opera house in Sydney, Australia, I can feel good about the fact that we did the job of providing the material for the grout to process the sand to produce a grout for those tiles that are what its iconic structure is all about. And it's things like that we have done all over the world that just is heartwarming to not only us as owners of the company, but to our employees as well, who built the machines that did that.
I don't think I knew about the Sydney Opera House. That's really awesome. I think that's a really good point about I know that's something you're big with, Sean, is just the industries we serve are so important, and we need all the minerals. We need the aggregates if we want to keep building roads and infrastructure and, have the latest iPhone and the latest computer. We need all those things. So these industries aren't going away. So what we do is a small part of that really important picture.
The emphasis of green energy over the last 15 years does have a place in the world for sure. And it will continue to grow and develop as the technology is realized. But just, the reality is you're not getting any green technology without mineral. There is no getting around that. There is no building a solar panel out of a tree. So the world needs mineral, and we will continue to be here helping to provide that with our equipment.
People around the United States anywhere and cannot exist or do anything during the day that they don't touch or use minerals that have been processed in our equipment. If they drive on a road, pretty good chance that that aggregate that built that concrete road or the asphalt highway was produced in our equipment.
That's definitely something to be proud of. That's so cool. As we're talking about the industries we're serving, Sean, what do you see as some future trends in these industries?
For us, really, there's two big areas we're focused on beyond everything else we do. There's some growth areas for us and some things we're really pushing a lot is the recycling side of things, which can include construction and debris recycling, obviously. But there's also recycling. It's growing a lot right now, which is glass. Glass recycling has been around for a while. It's pretty easy to do. But with the concern, especially with plastics in our food, there's a lot of areas where consumers are pushing manufacturers of products to use glass again. And so there's then the glass recycling picks up because glass is easy to recycle. So we have a lot of interest in that at the moment. Concrete recycling is another big one. And then we've gotten into things like turf recycling. So a lot of fields anymore around the United States are built with synthetic turf, and the rubber that's used in that, they want to recycle that. So we've developed and designed plants. We put a big one down in the South. That's the first one that's recycling the rubber used in the synthetic turfs. It's a really impressive project. And there's more of those to come along. So recycling is a big part of what we're doing. We don't see that going away anytime soon. And the other part is water management. Water is, particularly in some areas of this country, is a scarce commodity. It's very expensive. There's an allocation that they cannot let them have so much. At certain times they can't have enough processing water, so they've got to be able to recycle it on site. So we have gotten into the equipment side of things with thickeners and filter presses to be able to recycle the water and then also deal with the effluent or the fine material that's contained within the water. So you have an easier material to deal with as opposed to settling ponds. And there are some parts of the world that you can't get a permit anymore if you have a settling pond. You've got to be able to mechanically separate out the fines and stack them and deal with them, as opposed to just putting them into a pond with a polymer to let the material settle out. So some of that's being driven by local government agencies that and how the permits are applied for and how they're issued. So there's two big areas of recycling and water management in the future, along with all the other things that we do. And again, I say our equipment's not a fad. It's not going away. So that's why the log washer, which was invented in the late 1890s, is still around today. It will be around for a long time because it's really the only mechanical piece of equipment that can process a tough, sticky clay and get rid of it out of an aggregate material.
In another 10 years, McLanahan will be marking 2 centuries in business. Sean, what are some key priorities for McLanahan in the coming decade?
Well, I would think, we talk about the longevity of the company. We try not to do anything that's outside of our core industries and outside of the core things that we do. We will grow where we can. We'll do acquisitions where we can that make sense to fill in product lines that we need. But the old slow and steady as she goes. Well, that's what we do. That's what we're about. I think it's one of the things that probably why over the last 50 years we've just grown steadily is we're just making low and slow investments in the company as we go.
Producing equipment is very much a focus of what we do to make it easier and safer to manufacture the machines in our shops. The safety of our employees is critical, so we are investing heavily in giving them the right tools to do the job that we assign to them. It's really important for us, and it's important for our employees and our families. We're a family company, and that goes all the way down to the laborer that they are important. They're an important part of the team.
That's a good point, Mike. Speaking of safety, safety is one of McLanahan's core values. Can you guys talk about McLanahan's core values and how those impact the company and its employees?
We have 3 core values that the company uses. Safety is the one. We've talked a little bit about that. It's paramount in everything that we do, not just for our own internal employees and making sure that they work safely and we provide a safe environment, but the equipment as well. We put a lot of focus on that to make sure that it's used in a safe environment, in a safe way, out in the field. Another one's family, obviously, since we've been around for so long, 6 generations. I'm proud to say we have a 7th generation that's working part-time right now, so we'll see where that goes. But we're set up as a company now to be around for many, many, many generations to come. And that's a family's, not just in terms of the ownership side of it, but we're proud to say that we've got multiple families that are in their 4th generation of employment here. And they're very proud of that, to be able to recommend another family member to come on board and to start their career and their life here. It's a lot of satisfaction for us. The 3rd core value is their integrity. It's in everything that we do. The way we treat our employees, the way we treat our customers, the way we treat each other. We wouldn't exist as a company without really those 3 core values in terms of who we are.
Family being a core value extends even past the company walls. McLanahan does a lot of involvement with the communities that we have offices located in. Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We provide within the areas we operate. We try to stay active within the support of the local community, whether that be through nonprofit organizations. We do a lot of support through high school sporting events, where there are team activities. We try to support areas that our families and their children would be impacted and have the ability to participate in those events. So we try to give back as much as we can to the local communities because we operate and live in these communities. So supporting them and supporting their families and the things that they're doing and the interests they're in is important to us.
We've talked a lot today about the history of McLanahan, the industries we serve, and how products have changed over the past 190 years. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, I think we've covered a lot of the history of our company, making the right decisions, making promises and pledges to customers, to our employees that we have been able to keep, and the full employment that we have provided, and the income to this area. Those are things that we're very proud of.
Yeah, I would say I think we're all very proud of the company's history. Being around a long time is unique. There really isn't a statistic around for being in a 6th generation, going into 7th generation, and with more to come. And we've survived because of the way we run the company, the way we look at the corporation as, almost like a publicly traded company. There's nothing in here that we do that's the benefit of the family. We're an employee just like everybody else. We do our best to make sure that the company succeeds going forward, make the best decisions we can. So, there's a lot of fun in running this business. And I think in the future, wherever we go, wherever we grow, I don't see us changing sort of those core values of who we are, and whoever is the leadership of the company at that time. It's just a fun business to be in. A lot of people refer to our customers as the salt of the earth. They truly are in the industries we serve. There's just something basic about what we do and the materials that we provide. And again, I'll come back to the quality of life issue. I'm very proud of that the company is helping to increase the quality of life around the world for people.
Well, Sean, Mike, thank you guys so much for your time today. Congratulations again on 190 years.
More to come.
And to our listeners, Thank you for listening to Groundwork, a McLanahan podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite listening app for new episodes and follow McLanahan on social media for more content.
Thank you.